All right, so I've just heard about this story. Just a crazy story. So, just gonna get my perspective. Then I was gonna get my perspective on some stuff I saw with this guy. Um, one of these fresh and fit guys. These, one of these weirdos, just haters, and then fled their own homeland. But yeah, want to wag the finger at Black Americans. I mean, like I said, everything they say can be true. At the end of the day, we need to handle that, and you go ahead and handle what you got to handle at your homeland. Go ahead and fix that up, respectfully. Let me get into this. It's a disgrace that this even isn't even came to this where these folks like where's his priorities at? That's the people be to me. I know like why aren't they asking him what his dude's priorities at and get an answer? Because what Black Americans got to do with the Sudan and the folks over there starving in poverty, terrorism, all kind of trash. Yeah, well, what he say about Black Americans? Yeah, it's all true. We need to fix that there. Now you go ahead and fix what you need to fix over there. I dare you. I double dog dare you. See, they're not gonna do that. Let me get to the story though.
Now at 5, we're getting a look at what prompted a deadly police shooting in East Price Hill. Yesterday, a Cincinnati police officer shot and killed someone running from police. And Police Chief Teresa Thigi says the suspect was armed and was pointing a gun at the officer. WCPO 9 News reporter Connor Steffen's been following this story closely since it happened yesterday. Connor, what is the...
It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I just want to make sure that y'all can hear the actual news broadcast.
Today, Connor, what does the body camera footage show you?
Tanya, according to Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi, officers had just seconds to respond to the threat. Body camera footage that we reviewed earlier during a press conference backs that up.
Although to tell a story real quick, supposedly a group of suspects stole a car and they were pulled over.
The time between when officers first arrived on scene Thursday and the moment shots were fired is just 6 seconds.
So for them to process and determine a different course of action, I think is unreasonable.
Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi
think is unreasonable. Different course of action.
The thing is, like, and some of these folks have legit reasons why they do stuff on the job, and some of them don't. The ones that's messed up should have got away from them. But your own. Can't expect evil folk to do right by you. That's just foolishness.
And I think is unreasonable.
Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi says all 4 suspects ran into the woods in different directions when 2 officers rolled up to the stolen car. One officer chased the armed suspect, the other officer a different suspect.
And that'll be significant here in a moment.
Within seconds of running, the armed suspect falls. The officer chasing him reports seeing a gun.
What I also want to know is what happened to them Nazis. No word on them. No word on them doing anything.
This individual gets up, still has the firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters.
On the other side of the dumpster is the other officer chasing a different suspect.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun on your right. On your right.
According to police interviews, that officer said the armed suspect emerged from the dumpsters pointing a gun at him.
And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
Chief Thigi says the officer fired off 4 or 5 shots, hitting the armed suspect twice. Police attempted first aid, but the person later died.
This is where we have to go to the state of mind of the officer at the time. What are they seeing, feeling, hearing? If they feel like their life or somebody else's life is in danger, They have a responsibility to stop that threat.
The two suspects in custody.
The thing is, whether that's true or not, too many of them let a lot of these bad cops get away with BS.
They have a responsibility to stop that threat.
The two suspects in custody were arraigned Friday morning.
That's another thing, like, who are you hanging with? If they telling you to go rob some stores and all this other stuff, man, they ain't really your friends. Or they don't really got their stuff together. They ain't really thinking right. If your parents would tell you not to do this, and your friends will tell you to do something like that, those and your friends don't have good common sense. Or they not very logical people. They not thinking for the future. These are the kind of people you want to be hanging around with. And a lot of times people shouldn't even be hanging around these folks because they are a victim of circumstances. Basically, maybe single parent, financial issues, in areas they shouldn't be in financially with some of these people that think a certain way. If you don't think a certain way, you shouldn't be around certain people because you're going to get pulled into some BS. And a lot of times it's just a financial situation due to the parental situation.
18-year-old Jarrell Austin and 19-year-old D'Anthony Bullocks face charges of receiving stolen property and obstructing official business.
When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic. No one wins, and everyone involved is affected.
Court records show Austin was.
Well, we know the answer is financial. And, I mean, it's no secret that they've taken a lot of stuff out of the educational system, and it really hasn't been producing very good students to, get financial freedom, which is really the solution. So if you ain't talking about giving people financial solutions to educate themselves on how to make more money, it just ain't really, respectfully, you just need to go on with that stuff, basically. Gotta look at it as a time wasting at a certain point. Yeah, we should be open-minded and listen to different things, but at a certain point, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take 30, 40 years to figure stuff out. But yeah, it's finances, it's money. And yeah, some cultural things need to change and understand that, hey, you was undermined and tricked, and you got to take responsibility for change and all that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is try to be polite about it. Yeah, like I said, you just don't really seem like it makes sense to try to appeal to racist logic because they are based off emotion and they mentally ill and evil. Best to do your own. Get your own. Do your own. If it ain't as good as theirs, who cares? It's still your own.
Was already facing 4 other charges for a shooting back in October. As for Bullocks, his juvenile court records show he was convicted of felonies and sentenced twice.
So it's easy for me to Monday morning quarterback and say what should have happened. This person should have did that, and that person should have did this. But I'm not perfect myself. But gotta, and like I said, I've hung around people that I'm like, oh, that's my friend, but nah, they probably ain't on the right path. They trying to get you to do illegal stuff that y'all can go to jail for a long period of time, or get y'all self hurt, or just mess up y'all money. Nah, not really worth it. Probably shouldn't be around though. It's a lot of people that are pretending to be your friend and be stupid and do stupid stuff. Got to get away from those people.
To custody in the Department of Youth Services. Chief Thigi says officers found a second gun inside the stolen car. I also asked her about that 4 suspects still at large tonight. She says police are still searching for him. We're live in the
Now, any of these guys gonna snitch if they haven't already snitched, because that's the thing. Other thing, why it don't really pay to do crime no more. Just go legit. These guys gonna snitch anyway. Make more money just working a job. Now, something else too. So now, supposedly, the guy who got shot, his father runs over a police officer. And I guess in retaliation.
Think all eggs are the same? Think again. Avian flu
So this is wild.
has impacted millions of caged and cage-free hens, but
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us here this evening.
Because, this is like that one dude, I forget what his name. Because you don't want people to just be like, we so sick of the police, or so, because, like I said, it's easy to abuse somebody. The abusers don't like to get abused, too. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, period.
Gathered you to give you an update on an incident that you're aware of, I'm sure happened earlier this afternoon, approximately 1 p.m. We had an auto accident at Martin Luther King, Burnett Woods Drive, where a Hamilton County deputy was struck. He was outside his vehicle conducting traffic enforcement. He was struck by a vehicle. It saddens me tremendously to make you aware that he has since passed.
That's messed up.
Two families in mourning after an unthinkable series of events.
We need support. Please support us. Please support our deputy.
But this lady, I believe her name is Connie Pillard. She the sheriff, supposed to be a Democrat, lesbian, all this stuff. I had a guy tell me today, a black guy say she can't be racist because she a lesbian. And that's what I say. I don't want to unite with people like that. That's just a crazy statement. It's an ignorant statement. It's a foolish statement. I'm not going to give much places with fools. Basically, they'll probably get in the way or purposely or accidentally mess things up. So I don't think so.
Support our deputy.
Was it revenge? Police have now arrested this man and charged him with aggravated murder for plowing his car into a deputy today. His son, a suspect in a crime, was shot and killed yesterday.
Was that his mugshot?
Suspect in a crime, a deputy today. His son, a suspect in a crime, was shot and killed deputy today. His son, a suspect in a crime.
My fault.
Police have now arrested this man and charged him with aggravated murder for plowing his car into a deputy today. His son, a suspect in a crime, was shot and killed yesterday by a Cincinnati police officer.
Make sure that the
You know what I noticed too? A lot of these crimes are, first of all, people underestimate the importance of being street smart. Everybody should be street smart. But a lot of these crimes are crimes of insecurity. Like what would you really need to steal some of this stuff for if it ain't food? It's, to me, it's for buying material things to show off, because basically they're trying to buy confidence, I guess, in a way.
the local prosecutor knows that this should be a death penalty case.
Plus, the outpouring of love and respect by police and sheriff, the thin blue line watching over their brother, and the police chief pleading for peace.
Let the process
Over their brother, and the police chief pleading for the outpouring of love and respect by police and sheriff, the thin blue line watching over their brother, and the police chief pleading for peace.
let the processes play out. Let the investigations play out. Keep calm. calm. The investigations play out. Keep calm.
You know, Cincinnati hadn't really had no problem trying to get attention in the rioting, I guess. I don't know.
The investigations play out. Let the investigations play out. Keep calm.
She said, keep calm.
Keep calm.
Well, the whole thing is, you know, I had a white police officer tell me he don't really think they can do much in this economics. So maybe his bosses didn't want to listen to him or something. I don't know. But they're going to be this slow. It is what it is.
Keep calm.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tanya O'Rourke in for Craig McKee tonight. Our team coverage continues as the community mourns a Hamilton County Sheriff deputy killed today in the line of duty. His alleged killer, Rodney Hinton Jr., the father of 18-year-old Ryan Hinton, Ryan the son, is the man who was shot and killed by Cincinnati police officers yesterday in East Price Hill. Police charged the father, Rodney, with aggravated murder just a couple of hours ago. All of this unfolding as UC commencement was going on. The deputy was outside a vehicle at Martin Luther King and Burnett Woods Drive when Hinton's car plowed into him. We do have multiple reporters working on this story tonight. Alex Null with what led up to this deadly situation, and Sean Delancey was at the hospital where dozens of men and women in uniform mourned his death. We're going to start with Sean. He'll begin with the immediate reaction to this terrible day. Sean?
Yeah, Tanya, it has been a heart-wrenching day for a lot of people in this area, including those who were here when they learned that the deputy had not survived his injuries, through the procession of people accompanying his body to the coroner's office in Blue Ash, honoring his many years of service to this community. Led by Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey and Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi, dozens of uniforms personnel made their way from UCMC to a packed press conference to announce that the deputy hit by a car at this intersection had died.
I just can't express to you how sad, how incredibly sad we all are.
The deputy hit by a car at this intersection had died. The deputy hit by a car. Led by Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey and Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi, dozens of uniforms personnel made their way from UCMC to a packed press conference to announce that the deputy hit by a car at this intersection had died.
I just can't express to you how sad, how incredibly sad we all are, and what an incredibly wonderful and dedicated deputy this man was.
They didn't release his name, but did say he'd retired just a few months ago. He was helping direct traffic around UC's graduation. Officers lined the streets as his body was taken from the hospital.
They didn't say his name.
Deputy this man was.
They didn't release his name, but did say he'd retired just a few months ago. He was helping direct traffic around UC's graduation. Officers lined the streets as his body was taken from the hospital in a procession. At the coroner's office, brothers and sisters behind the badge hugged, mourned, stood with the man who died in the line of duty.
Our deputy will not be alone. He is not alone. He will not be alone. There will be someone with him until the day that he transitions to higher ground.
Grief was also met with anger towards Rodney Hinton, the man charged with aggravated murder after hitting and killing the deputy with his car. Hinton's 18-year-old son was shot and killed by Cincinnati police in East Price Hill Thursday morning. I talked to former FOP President Dan Hills about it.
That's wild.
Hugged, mourned, stood with the man who died in the line of duty.
Our deputy will not be alone. He is not alone. He will not be alone. There will be someone with him until the day that he transitions to higher ground.
Grief was also met with anger towards Rodney Hinton, the man charged with aggravated murder after hitting and killing the deputy with his car. Hinton's 18-year-old son was shot and killed by Cincinnati police in East Price Hill Thursday morning. I talked to former FOP President Dan Hills about it.
This has made myself and everybody I've talked to is so angry. You know, it's hard to stay professional.
And as you heard McGuffey,
And everybody I've talked to is so angry. You know, it's hard to stay professional.
also met with anger towards Rodney Hinton, the man charged with aggravated murder after hitting and killing the deputy with his car. Hinton's 18-year-old son was shot and killed by Cincinnati police in East Price Hill Thursday morning. I talked to former FOP President Dan Hills about it.
This has made myself and everybody I've talked to is so angry. You know, it's hard to stay professional.
He said it's hard to stay professional. This dude like a racist. And if he ain't a racist, you know, my apologies. But we do know it's some racists on the police force. And that sounds like something the racists on the police force would say. Because when I hear that, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Are you going to get unprofessional and start beating up people and, you know, abusing people and not letting due process happen? Like, well, what does that mean? We know for a lot of racists, it means that. Really, no arguing that.
And as you heard McGuffey say, their officers or deputies will be with that deputy's body until he is laid to rest. Details on that have not yet been released. In Coreyville, I'm Sean Delancey, WCPO.
At the end of the day, if the police are they supposed to stop crime, respond to crime? I don't know. But if the solution been given out there and they don't want to do it, you know, I don't really see much use. I don't say that. I guess I'll say ineffective. So I heard something about this guy, Myron Gaines, which is not his real name. He's somebody who's actually like a provocateur. He's an agent. He's an admitted agent. Work for Homeland Security. That's what's so weird. And like when these people talk about high IQ, they just kind of projecting that they really low IQ because you got white guys following this guy. The other thing, you know, some of the stuff when they talk about red pill stuff, you know, some of it may be true in some cases for women, but their complaint isn't family court and things of that nature. Most of their complaint is how women act and that they choose another guys over them. Because the guys that's getting chosen ain't really complaining too much about how women acting. More so that they taking they money, if they take their money or something like that. But other than that, a lot of these guys seem frustrated that the cute girl didn't ever really give them much attention, and it's almost like they just want to shame them for going after guys that they like. It will benefit them. But but the other thing is like these dudes, if they really want to, you know, kind of get some of these women and you know, that kind of look over them, their attention, you know, these guys need to start rewarding some of the fives and the sixes. So then they'll see like, oh, okay, this 5 or 6 getting treated very well, living a nice lifestyle. But they still, you know, why don't they do that? Why don't those guys do that? Because a lot of the times they wishing they in these guys, they jealous of position because they'll do the same thing that those guys are doing. I'm not saying in every case. I'm just saying in some cases. Another thing with these guys, a lot of these guys like that follow this guy, they be like white supremacists and racist. I guess my question is like, is being a racist attractive to most women? Because if it's not, I mean, that's one of your problems right there. And is it more attractive or less attractive to women? Because if it's less attractive, then, you know, if it's more attractive, hey, you shouldn't have these complaints. But I'm going to have to ask about that. Is it more attractive or less attractive if a man is racist? I'm going to ask. This guy, He talk about black people, black Americans, like black Americans dogs. We the worst people ever. Need to get our stuff together, all this and all that. And like I said before, all of that, we probably need to do better. Yeah, we need to do better. So as we doing better, you go ahead. You notice he never had that smoke for his own countrymen or anybody else because that's his way to stay. That's the freeloader mentality. You got a freeloader. The freeloader gonna make any kind of excuse to stay. So if they ain't willing to do it on their own, if they don't think they can do it on their own, they gonna look for a reason to kind of try to stay some kind of excuse. And their whole thing is, hey, look how evil this guy is. For pretending he can't even. He's an Arab from Sudan. Sudan is in shambles. I'm just gonna put Sudan, poor country. It says poverty is a significant issue in both Sudan and South Sudan. In South Sudan, a substantial portion of the population, including over 80% in some estimates, live below the international poverty line. Now, even with all the problems that Black Americans have, it still ain't this bad. So I'm thinking, man, this guy got his priorities all wrong. Instead of trying to be a white flunky, he need to be over there helping his folks out. But we do know there was a black person that turned on John Brown. So he's got that black person that turned on John Brown mentality, it seems. So I would never want to unite with somebody like this.
Because
he's not, he can't give me a solution. He can't be the example of a solution. And he's partnering with people that he know undermine us and purposely lie. You know what I'm saying? So that's what make him a trash individual. I mean, it's 1 + 1 = 2. These are the kind of people that flee to Sudan and that control the Sudan. Because it was a video where he was saying some of his people was in government. So these aren't builders; these are destroyers. These are people you can't look. How I don't even get this. Like, you can't bring in people that have a history of messing stuff up, a history of undermining people, and expect to succeed. That's a hater mentality to even want a person like that around.
when those messages came out
Gotta
originally,
stay on this clip.
and the allegations came out originally, it made
Oh, hold on, this ain't no clip. Hold on. So we'll have to see because I ain't.
Johnny Depp looked terrible. I mean, he lost a deal with Pirates of the Caribbean, lost a lot of money, lost a lot of support, both financial.
Let me see something else. Like, another thing, like, these guys, man, it's like these guys they're entertainers, they're YouTubers. They're not oh, okay. So you can see who made it was something like why women get paid less. But I thought it was it's this one.
So can I ask a quick synopsis of what you think the prescription is for society today?
Sure. What's your goal?
So can I ask a quick synopsis of what you think the prescription is for society today for men?
Now, some of these women is crazy, but I'm just talking in general. Like, a lot of their talking points is just that they upset at how females are and don't really find them attractive. And they're not really picked first unless they got money. And yeah, you're going to get used for your money because she don't really like you like that, which is all right. But if you got a problem with that, get a 5.
In a short version, what do you think they should do to be successful with women?
to be successful with women. Okay, are we talking about like getting a girl for a long-term relationship just to get laid? What are we talking about?
Well,
here?
I think the only reason should be for a long-term relationship and marriage. I mean, as Jesus Christ founded it. But I'm just curious what your prescription is.
Well,
You see how wild this is? This dude telling some Arab dude, he asked some Arab dude that's a cornball relationship advice because he done studied some stuff. Not that he was actually ever that guy. Some Arab dude to try to look like Gargamel, try to fake present as black, and then change his name to Myron Gaines because he obviously ain't proud of his real name. This is an act.
This is gonna get you laid, right? Doesn't work. Okay. Yeah.
I'll be quick here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank the whole crowd for uniting against this man. I am proud of our campus. I am proud of us.
We're united against
I
this
was
man.
scared seeing these posters, genuinely, because I didn't know who would show up to this event.
And then they'll still secretly watch this stuff and agree with them because that's how they do. Some of them.
Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are great. Thank you to all our question people. And I'm not going to thank you. I think you are a weird person.
Good one. You know, I think it's interesting that you say that because I think, see, the reality is there's a silent majority that agrees with me. This is why Trump won because guys know, right? This is why Trump won because the good thing
They got
about
special
liberals,
forces
right?
out there.
This
Like those is boys.
Guys for. But nowadays, I think people are waking up slowly but surely, and I think the landslide victory that Trump had proves that a lot more guys are starting to look towards the conservatism and the right wing versus radical left wing beliefs because, you know, it just doesn't serve us to be liberal, and we can see that there. But yeah,
Bring it up just a little bit. Can I bring this up just?
there's a loud minority. What's up, man?
Hey, can I bring this up a little bit? Is that okay? Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you remember me at all?
No.
Okay.
You
So
remember
can I
me
ask
at
a
all?
quick synopsis of what you think the
Guys are
There you
starting
go.
to look.
It's like asking what stocks to invest in.
It's like a generalization though, because I feel like matching one archetype of man with it's like a generalization though, because I
There's
feel
some
like
weird
it's
folks
case
out
specific
here.
with every person. Like when you say that, it's like
Oh, I think the world operates on generalities, right? There's a reason.
I mean, my
So
fault.
what I What's up, man? How are you? I guess I could come into that after.
it's my work.
What's up,
All right,
bro?
work. I seen some of your podcasts and stuff like that. I haven't watched the full thing, but I really just want to know, like, why do you think women deserve less? Because it's like a controversial. Obviously, it's gonna catch people's attention.
Sure.
You know, they see it.
Sure. When I say women deserve less, it's for a multitude of different reasons, but I'll just focus on, like, let's say dating for now, right? So guys have this, you know, warped ideology that being a gentleman and being super nice and, you know, being caring makes you more attractive to women. But the reality is, you know, attraction and arousal are two different things. And by being a nice guy, what ends up happening a lot of times, you get stuck in the friend zone. And what I tell guys, and I talk about this in my book, guys got to give women less. If you look at the cover, you know, I have money there, relationships, social media, and time makes you more attractive to women. But the reality is, you know, attraction and arousal are two different things.
Hey man,
And
if
by
if she don't, if you don't look good to her, I don't care what book you read. Now you might be able to, I guess, maybe get some personality. I guess I don't know.
being a nice guy, what ends up happening a lot of times, you get stuck in the friend zone.
But this guy's selling a
And
product.
what I tell guys, and then I talk about
Nothing
this in
wrong
my
with
book,
selling a
guys gotta
product.
give women less.
I'm
You look
just
at the
saying.
cover, you know, I have money there, relationships, social media.
If it's a
and
scam,
time.
that's one thing.
And the reason for that is because we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace. And what that basically means is, assuming two parties are have the age of consent, anyone can hook up. Now, we thought this would be a good idea in the 60s with the explosion of feminism and birth control, etc. But what ended up happening was, when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated as they become more educated and made more money. So it's left a lot of extra. But what ended up happening was, when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated.
He said when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guy they can get.
When you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated as
how's that a problem for the woman?
They become more educated and made more money. So it's left a lot of normal guys out of the realm.
Normal
So
guys. See,
what
that's
I
the
tell
thing.
guys is, you need,
Or is, is it normal guys? Because normal guys that can pull nice chicks. So, or is it the majority or certain type of guys that can't for whatever reason? Maybe their personality and other things.
With the explosion of feminism and birth control, etc. But what ended up happening was, when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated as they become more educated and made more money. So it's left a lot of normal guys out of the realm. So what I tell guys is, you need a woman that's going to reciprocate that attention, because we're in a position now where they have all the leverage.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, the simp's gonna simp. The simp's gonna simp.
A lot of guys are over here courting and dealing with women that, quite frankly, don't deserve it. So when I say women deserve less, there's other aspects too, but that's what I mean, as in, like, dating. Don't simp on women that already get everything given to them. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, isn't that just like a generalization though? Because I feel like it's case specific with every person. Like when you say that, it's like you matching one archetype of men with another archetype of women, and then you making that the case for everybody.
Well, I think the world operates on generalities, right? There's a reason why Braille isn't everywhere, because there's not that many blind people, right? So, in general, being a nice guy is going to set you back. Now, are there some girls out there that are, will reward you and give you sex and a blowjob for being a nice guy? Sure. But the reality is, being a nice guy typically always puts you on your back foot. And I think in today's day and age, where women have an enormous amount of leverage in the dating marketplace, guys need to kind of go in there with their eyes wide open so they don't put themselves in a bad situation. So generalizations are typically how the world works. Of course, there's always going to be anomalies. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. But I think in general, men need to operate from a position where they're mitigating risk and not investing too much upfront, because we have way more on the line than women do when we get in relationships.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you say, like, sex, do you think that's the end goal of a relationship? Like, where do you view that?
Well, it's the main agency that women have.
What if you don't give them that agency though? If you have like different priorities, generally, like
The man or the woman?
The man.
Okay, what do you mean by that? If you can kind of...
Like, if you don't go into a relationship just expecting to get that out of it, then there's really no leverage there if that's not something you really want out of that person.
Well, a lot of the time that's cope, right? So, like, guys will sit there and they'll be taking a girl on her seventh date. They've been talking for like 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, and they'll sit there and cope, be like, "Oh no, like I'm just building something up," but the reality is she's fucking some other guy, right? And the reality is that men need to understand that women, right? They sell purity, they sell sugar and spice and everything nice. But what will happen is they'll open themselves up sexually to the men that they respect and are aroused by, and then make the nice guy wait, right? And they're able to kind of double dip doing that. So I think with guys, they got to basically push for sex fairly quickly in a relationship to ensure that they're not getting used.
I think
because that is their main. I mean, just let's be honest here. Like, that is their main commodity, their main agency. Like, if women didn't have vaginas, we wouldn't care. No one would talk to them.
I wouldn't say that, because that's like half the population. You just like dehumanizing half the population.
I mean, well, it's the reality. We're put on Earth to procreate, correct? So men, our job is to provide resources. Their job is to extract resources, and it's been this way since the beginning of time. The only reason we're able to have this whole, moral situation is because of modernity and the access to technology and how we progressed. But the reality is, in times of when times are not peaceful, we get closer and closer to our traditional gender roles, right? There is no feminism when the lights are off. There is no feminism with war. There is no feminism when it comes to preserving society and moving on forward. So, the reality is that that's why the genders deal with each other. Men provide resources, women provide access to sex.
I'm gonna come back.
These niggas gonna argue or something?
Yeah, thank you for coming up, though, man. It's
Like,
been
I'm gonna come back.
So, shout out to you. And when you come back up, say your name.
Ridiculous. That's what I said.
Hi.
Too many people
Hey, so
And then make the nice guy
asking
wait.
the wrong questions and clueless.
hey, so I really think your ideology is interesting. How do I apply it to my lesbian relationships?
Okay. What is the goal? Is the goal to get married? Is the goal to have a serious long-term boyfriend that will what's the goal?
It's to have a lesbian relationship.
Oh, well, you guys are useless to society, so.
So should I value her less or more?
Well, I mean, you guys can scissor and talk and have a good time, but you guys don't really provide for society.
Okay, so thank you.
No problem.
That's what I'm saying. Folks just want to get up
If
there.
you're not contributing to a nuclear family, you're effectively useless to society, being honest.
If that was a real argument, she ain't really had nothing ready to
Also,
come
I
back.
don't think lesbianism is real. I think it's just confusion a lot of the times. Because the reality is, because I've interviewed maybe almost 4,000 girls on my show, and girls that say that they're lesbian or bisexual, I always like to ask them, well, if you had to pick one gender for the rest of your life, who are you going to pick? And 9 out of 10 times it's the men. And the reason why is because men have to provide value in a relationship. Women don't a lot of the times. Like with us, we have a multifaceted list of things that we have to bring to the table, whether it's being tall, strong, competent, financial resources. Men have to rise to the occasion to be able to get attention from the opposite gender. Women don't. So what ends up happening a lot of the times when there's lesbian or bisexual couples and are dating with women, the bar is low and they don't really provide value to each other. And then when the check comes, they're both looking at each other confused. So, there's a reason why lesbians have some of the highest rates of domestic violence. It just doesn't work.
Hey, I'm back. I got another question.
Sure.
So,
you want to introduce yourself to the people or not?
oh, my name is Caleb. I'm a civil engineer major.
What's up,
freshman.
Caleb? Welcome.
Yeah.
Where are you from, bro? How old are you?
I'm from Fort Mill, South Carolina. I'm 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still young.
So you said going into a relationship or dating with a woman, not expecting sex is like cope. What is?
Yeah,
what is that?
a lot of guys tell themselves that when they're in the friend zone. Like a guy will sit there for 3 or 4 years talking to this girl, wanting more. He knows he's stuck in the friend zone, but he just kind of sits there and be like, no, I'm just going to be a good friend. I'm going to sit around.
At
I'm just going to be here.
At that point, it's a matter of self-respect, though. Like, if you know you're not getting what you want out of a relationship, why not walk away? But if you do want a friendship for that person,
I agree.
Because women do have value outside of just sex.
No,
then,
I agree with you on that. But the problem is that most guys can't identify when they're being friend zoned. Is my point.
It's easy to identify though. If the relationship not going where you want it to go, then you can walk away.
You got to understand that a lot of guys are socially retarded and not able to understand when a woman isn't that into them. I'm sure every woman in here has been hit on by a guy that made her feel uncomfortable and he just simply didn't get it. And there's a reason for that. Women, the one compliment I will give women is they're socially superior to men. They're able to pick up on things quicker. They're able to read the room better. They're able to assess danger. And the reason for that is because they're the weaker gender physically, right? So since they can't make up for it with strength and brutality, if a dude's a little off, he's like ticking like this or he's a weirdo, women pick up on that immediately and okay, danger zone, let me get out of here. So that's why a lot of guys are kind of idiotic when it comes to stuff and they can't take the signs.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
But is it that women deserve less or men need to know more?
Combination of the two. Men need to understand their value because that's the biggest weapon when it comes to dating and intersexual dynamics is a lot of guys don't understand how much value they're bringing to the table versus the woman. A lot of the times men chronically undervalue themselves while women simultaneously overvalue themselves. If you ask an average girl, hey, what kind of guy do you want? They're going to tell you 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack, good looking, good with dogs, asshole that could put me in my place, but at the same time is a nice guy. Like they're looking for the top 1% guy, but the reality is they're very average. So I think men need to understand that not only do you have to, the burden of performance is on you and you have to be attractive, but you also need to understand that you need to be superior to your girl in every way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And attractive don't necessarily have to be looks, but it's partially looks, but also what you bring to the table, what you got, things of that nature.
So I think men need to understand that not only do you have to, the burden of performance is on you and you have to be attractive, but you also need to understand that you need to be superior to your girl in every way. Because women don't look for equals despite the fact that they say they do. That's a lie.
You got anything to say?
They look for a superior. They don't look for an equal, ever. So by me giving her less, I'm actually giving her what she wants. Surprisingly.
I wouldn't say that's like giving less though. And when you say women deserve less, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, they do. And the thing is that you have to make.
So he didn't know the argument, or he can't articulate it.
Less though, and when you say women deserve less, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, they do. And the thing is that you have to make them earn everything, because when guys come in, they start simping immediately. They start giving her money, time, attention, all this stuff. That she takes that for granted. She doesn't respect it, and if she doesn't respect it, she's not going to respect you.
Okay,
and here's the other thing too. Since women have so many options, and this has been exacerbated by social media, by the way. Like, this has always been a problem, but in 2025, with the explosion of social media, it's gotten even worse.
I think social media just made it more toxic, but that I'll put that off to the side for a second.
Sure.
Let's do a hypothetical. So let's say a guy, he goes into a date, he already knows what he wants, and so in the scenario that you create, this guy he courts or whatever, they're dating, he's giving her everything that she wants, and she's giving it up to some other guy on the side or whatever.
Yep.
And so
Happens all the time.
the problem is that she values herself more than this guy.
Well, I mean, not really. She's basically using him, right? So another dark secret when it comes to modern dating and women in general, how modern women date, is what they'll do is they'll have men in certain categories. They'll compartmentalize men. So one guy will be saved on her phone as Uber. Another guy will be saved as pizza. Another guy will be saved as sex. Another guy will be saved as simp. Another guy will be saved as sugar daddy. And, this is a very dark reality that a lot of guys don't understand. But we've gotten to a point now, thanks to social media and dating apps, etc., where women are able to basically have men in these certain roles where they can benefit them. And what I'm saying is, I don't want you being saved as Uber. That's my thing when I talk to guys.
And so
thing is too,
at
like,
that point, why?
A lot of times, man, it's gonna be hard to tell. So
is the lesson not how to have self-respect as a man instead of like attacking women?
Well, here's the thing. In order for you to have self-respect,
just attacking women.
Attacking women. The lesson not how to have self-respect as a man instead of like attacking women.
Well, here's the thing. In order for you to have self-respect, you must.
That sounds like that campus talk, that liberal talk.
Attacking women.
Well, here's the thing. In order for you to have self-respect, you must give them less.
That's not how self-respect works, though.
No. You
can value yourself, but without tearing someone else down.
Well, you're not tearing her down. You're just mitigating risk and not giving her everything up front. You're making her earn it. See, I find it interesting that women will sit there and have these super high standards, right? And when you make them work for your validation and your attention, that's looked at as misogynistic. But when women do it, it's looked at as having high standards. Do you notice that? Double standard? So in other words,
I've never experienced that personally.
Well, that's you, man. I mean, you might be better with the girls than other guys, but most men struggle in this situation. Yeah. See? Yeah, you got to remember, man, the average guy is struggling. Like, you might be a smooth talker or whatever. I can see that you're an eloquent young man.
Thank you.
But a lot of guys don't have that skill set, So.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of this, like the dating philosophy in this time is really like spitting game, and it's really technical, but I think a lot of it is just connection. So when you actually look for that in somebody, then you can get rid of everything else.
Yeah,
it doesn't become a competition
thing,
or a thing of leverage or anything.
Here's the thing you got to remember. Like, when it comes to like connection, remember that like 90% of guys can't even get the connection in the first place.
It's just a conversation, though.
But you're not going to have the conversation if she doesn't find you attractive up front. So like whenever women talk about like men that they like or whatever, or like what they're looking for, or the personality traits he's supposed to have, they're talking from the frame of they assume attraction. They assume he's already 6 feet tall and he's good looking or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I don't care. I just want a guy that communicates well. But she's not telling you that he's 6'3" and makes $50K a month.
Yeah.
She's not telling you that part. Right. She's saying she wants a good communicator, but the reality is it's with certain types of men.
Right.
I think with those women, with that like archetype of women in particular, they're like really shallow. Like me personally, if I see a woman
Bro,
like that,
that's a lot of women.
They got crazy.
Shallow. with those women, with that like archetype of women in particular, they're like really shallow. Like me personally, if I see a woman
Bro,
like that,
that's a lot of women.
it's not though, because I know
Telling you.
a lot of women who go off of the way a man carries himself or the way he speaks or the things he believes. It's not just how he looks. And part of it is how he looks.
I'm not
like,
saying it's just how he looks. It's a complete package. But what I'm saying is that they want them well-rounded in multiple different things. Typically, the more money and status woman has, or the hotter she is, the pickier she's going to be. And this is even for average women. Average women are looking for an above-average guy 9 out of 10 times. We got more money and status woman has, or the hotter she is, the pickier she's going to be. And typically, the more money and status woman has, or the hotter she is, the pickier she's going to be. And this is even for average women. Average women are looking for an above-average guy 9 out of 10 times. We got 5s looking for 9s. You know, but then if you ask her, what do you rate yourself 1 to 10, she'll say an 11. 11? Like, what the hell? So, that's the problem. So
Yeah, I believe that I'm actually gonna watch some of this, but it seems like he's done some research, read some books, maybe even in his own experience being a podcaster. A lot of that stuff I kind of agree with. Now to say they don't really have value, a woman can have value, and I know what he's talking about as far as like less, but as far as I thought I heard him say something like about the lesbians not having any value. I mean, they can still have value. She can meet somebody that is great at networking, or so she can be a value in your circle, or to know. To me, that's a value. If you can connect somebody with somebody else, that's gonna help you. But a lot of stuff you're saying, though, I can't really disagree with. But as far as the other cooning, the hating, like I said, I just please get your priorities together and help out your fellow country and your countrymen. Just so much and you know so much about what we need to do as Black Americans. Just show us how it's done. I would sure appreciate that.